Guys, this looks really bad. Today, MSTY has collapsed, and it didn't just collapse. Today, it has reached its lowest point it has ever been since it was incepted. If we look at this chart here, 1 month MSTY has crashed about 26.35%. 6 months 44%, but again, this does not include all the distributions. Year to date, this is from January to October, has crashed about 56%. And 1 year chart, this is from October last year, 2024, to October 2025. It is negative 58.39%. And if we extend it to 5 years, this is the time since MSTY was incepted. It has crashed about 43%. But what I want to show you today, its lowest price it has ever been. So this can be interpreted two ways: either a big opportunity to buy if you believe in cryptos and Bitcoins and MSTR stock, which MSTY has exposure to, then this could be opportunity to buy. But if you are skeptical, then this can be a bad sign. So if I look at this all-time chart, I can see here, this was the lowest point. It crashed. That was in September of 2024. And then right after that, it went up to almost all-time high. It didn't reach the point it was at this point here. That was March 2024. So that was also the highest point. This was in December 2024. Then it crashed again to the lowest point there, you can see, and that was February of this year. Then it stayed flat, and then it rebound again to that price of 25. And since April of this year, when it hit the highest point from the lowest it was, it has been going down till today, where it reached its lowest it has ever been since this ETF was incepted, at $11.63. So this is the lowest, and this, as I say, can be a very scary moment for people who have invested in this ETF from the highest price and seen their ETFs just keep collapsing. But again, for people who bought at beginning of this ETF when it was incepted around $20, and let's say, for example, you reinvest all your distributions, you really haven't lost any money. Yes, if you look at the $20 to 11, that looks like almost a 50% down. But with all the distribution it has been paying, you are really up. And I'm going to show you the performance of this ETF since it was incepted. So now, as I've said, this ETF being at its lowest price, $11.63, which is the lowest it has ever been, it can be seen as an opportunity to buy for people who believe in its underlying, but also can be seen as a very bad sign. So let's say, for example, you believe in this ETF, this is a little bit of income guidance. But again, this is just a projection of the distributions that they might be paying going forward. There's no guarantee that you're going to get these distributions. So we know ymax ETFs announced a distribution for MSTY for tomorrow, which they are going to pay 61 cents. And that, if they will keep paying the same with today's price, that's 272%. As I've mentioned in my yesterday video, that this is very unlikely because they were expecting to pay a monthly distributions, and then they changed their calendar. So that way they have to catch up with the payments, and that's why they pay 61 cents. So this looks like 2 times or 3 times distribution. So if we consider this is distribution for 3 weeks, all lump up together in 1 week, so we would assume that they're going to pay about 21 cents per share each week. Now, if they're paying 21 cents per share each week, that's 94%, still very good. Okay, there is another prediction that I predicted they might be paying a little bit higher than 21, and that's based on the historical distribution, and that I said was 29 cents. So if they were to pay 29 cents per share each week on average, that's about 130% if you buy this ETF today. So guys, any of this yield is still very high yield than a lot of other investments you can ever get. But one thing that I just want to get out of your head is that they're going to pay 61 cents every paycheck. That's very unlikely, because I can't see them paying 272% for this ETF forever. They might pay, and I think this is just one off. The distribution you're going to be expecting going forward will be between 29 and 21 cents, but that will give you from 94% to 130. Either of that, it's a pretty good return. This yield return will be meaningful if, of course, the share price stays at least where it is today at $11 or at least $10 maximum, right? So that will be very impressive. So even though MSTY has reached its lowest price has ever been, if we look at its return since it was incepted, and this is from ymax website, this is official website. But again, sometimes this is not as current because it's usually been updated maybe once a day. So I think it will be updated tomorrow. MSTY has returned about 246%. This is cumulative, meaning all distributions. And NAV is 255. Since inception, annualized has returned 115%. And NAV is 120. And just a quick reminder, MSTY was incepted February 21, 2024. Net asset as of now, 365 billion. Just a few months ago, a net asset was around 6 billion, but there's been a lot of outflow, meaning people have sold this ETF and move on to another ETFs. And one of the ETFs that a lot of people have invested a lot of their money is ULTY. Let me show you what ULTY has done today. Already, as I've mentioned, a lot of investors sold their MSTY and bought ULTY when ULTY announced weekly distributions. So it's the same story here, guys. ULTY has crashed to its lowest at $5.25. The lowest, it came closer to around $5.40. That was the lowest, and that was in March 2025. And it has been almost very flat since then. And just today, it just went boom down. Since then, it has stayed flat and stable. And just today, it has hit its lowest at 525. So it's going to be the same story here, guys, for people who believe in ULTY. And there are a lot of people who love ULTY because this is one of the popular ETFs I've ever seen. So if you believe in ULTY and its composition of their stocks, there's a Robinhood, Palantir, a Rocket Lab, there's CoreWave, Hims and Hers, there's Coinbase, there's NewScale, Power Corporation, there's Unit Software, there's Rigetti Computing, and sector weight is technology about 48%, financials 23%, industrial 15%, healthcare 5, basic material, real estate, they are the lowest here in terms of their percentage. So if you believe in this composition and you believe that ymax managers will do something about this ETF to at least stabilize it or to make it grow, and they keep paying the same distribution they've been paying about 10 cents per share, then this lowest price could be seen as opportunity to purchase more shares, or can be seen as a very scary moment and is a time maybe to sell. So it all depends on how you feel about this ETF. Just make sure you do research before purchasing this ETF. So that way you are well informed before investing in this type of ETFs. Now, with ULTY price being at $5.25 and average distribution being around 9 cents, that's annual yield of 89.14%. So it's really not bad, around 90%. If you're getting 90%, and let's say, for example, ULTY price does not go below $5, you're going to make a lot of money and a good return within just 1 year. So again, this can be opportunity to purchase or can be a time to think about these ETFs and see if you want to invest your money. Again, these 9 cents they're paying right now, there's no guarantee that they're going to be paying 9 cents going forward or forever. As ymax stated on their website, that all these distributions are really not guaranteed. And also, share price is also not guaranteed because there's a potential that ULTY might go down. Again, on official ymax website, cumulative since it was incepted, ULTY has returned about 15% and NAV is 1530. And since inception, annualized return is about 10%. So it's pretty much a par with the market. But this includes all your distributions. ULTY was incepted February 28th, 2024, and net asset as of now is 3.36 billion. Remember, ULTY just a year ago, it was less than 1 billion. And as I've said, they switched their distribution from monthly to weekly. And a lot of investors transition their positions from other ETFs and bought a lot of ULTY. And since then, actually, price, as we've seen, is stabilized and it has been really good ETF overall. But the asset, I think, was a little bit more than this, but because of this market instability, I think people also have sold some shares, but it hasn't seen a huge outflow as MSTY. Okay, the very last update I'm going to update you on today is BLOX. So this is a different type of ETFs. This is a Nicholas Crypto Income ETF. This is one of those ETFs that not many people talk about them. For example, this ETF has been paying consistent distributions and has increased its distributions, but not many people are talking about this. For example, this ETF has been paying consistent distributions and it has increased its distributions, but not many people are talking about this. If you look at the price of today, it's 25.24. After hours seems to be going down. Again, everything has been crashing as of lately. And you can see after hours, it has lost about $1.09, and that's about 4.32%. As I've said with other ETFs, if you are believing in crypto and blockchain, then this crash can be an opportunity for you to either start a position with this, or if you have purchased some shares of this ETF, then you can buy even more positions. But the difference between this ETF and the two ETFs that I have shown you earlier, MSTY and ULTY, is that this ETF has no negative return. It has just been going up since it was incepted. But fair point here is that this ETF hasn't been out for that long like MSTY and ULTY. But as you can see here, let's extend it to all time. It has returned about 30.37%. This is just return on Yahoo Finance because Yahoo Finance does not include the distributions. So it started around about $19 to where it is today, over $25. It's a huge return. And I'm going to show you the distributions and that will surprise you. So if we look at the distributions history here, the first time they paid distributions was August 11th, 2025, and they paid about 15 cents. The following week, they paid 15 cents. Following week, they paid 15 cents, 16 cents, 16 cents, 16 cents. The first week of October, they pay about 17 cents. And the second week of October, which they just paid one day ago, that was about 18 cents. As you can see here, in October, they have increased their distributions as compared to previous weeks. So this is very good sign. If we look at the cumulative return since it was incepted, it's around 33%. So 33% is not bad for an income ETF, an ETF that has exposure to crypto. Because remember, these type of ETFs, they're very volatile. Net assets as of now is around 147 million. So it's not a huge fund. Management expense ratio is about 1%. It was incepted June 16, 2025. So it has been out for less than 5 months. So we really don't know how BLOX is going to perform going forward. But based on what we've seen so far, it seems very promising. For people who are new to BLOX and are interested to buy or to have it on their watch list, I made a video about a week ago and I explained a lot about this ETF and I showed all the position that BLOX has exposure to. But in short, BLOX is an actively managed exchange traded fund that provides exposure to blockchain technology to enhance income and provide portfolio diversification. The fund blends digital asset related investments and traditional income generating securities to capture growth potential in emerging technologies while maintaining a focus on risk adjusted return. So that's what BLOX does. Guys, that's all I have for today. I just want to give you a quick update to show you that today is the lowest point MSTY and ULTY have ever been. So it could be opportunity to buy if you believe that there's a huge potential for these two ETFs to grow and also keep paying their distributions. And the last thing I wanted to show you about BLOX, this is a brand new ETF and is one of the best and promising ETFs. In fact, I think BLOX could be even better than MSTY. I believe even though MSTY yield is a little bit higher, it all depends if you want a performance or you want a high yield. So guys, if you like this type of content, as always, make sure you smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of the updates whenever I release new videos. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on next video. Bye bye.